Hi, welcome to Two Moons and a Microphone, an ElfQuest fangirl podcast from Sci-Fi Sisters Inc. My name is Tanya Scott-Thomas. I love fantasy, but I keep it real. Today, we are ElfQuest fangirling to the next degree because I have my friend Shekinah, and I met Shekinah in the ElfQuest fan club on Facebook, and it has been a hoot ever since we met. We've been chatting online, but this is the first time we get to chat in person. So Shekinah, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh.
Yes, this has been a long time coming
Yes.
because ever since I started seeing you post things, I was like, there's another one like me, like
Yeah. Sisters.
sisters, ElfQuest.
Oh, what sisters?
Yes. So the Facebook group on the ElfQuest Facebook group is like a little family of diehard ElfQuest fans.
Oh, yeah.
And you really just burst on the scene when you started making reaction videos to Final Quest. And this is when everything just took off. And, you know, as a fangirl, I love when other fans just use their creativity to just, you know, put stuff out there. And I just admired you so much because you were just so free and uninhibited, like putting out this great like reactions, and you were editing and you had like end credits and all this stuff. And it was like, how did they do that? Oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I just
It
love
was
it.
a terrifying experience. It was honestly the most frightening thing I have probably ever done. And our mutual friend Heather, who was one of the admins for the ElfQuest group, it was so random how it started. People used to tell me all the time when I would comment my little shenanigans under
Yes.
certain posts, oh my gosh, we would love to see you react to this in real time. I'm like, y'all crazy. I ain't about to do that. And Heather literally texted me one day and she said, hey, there's this issue that just dropped. You have to record yourself reacting to it. And I'm like, okay, sis, anything for you. And she's like, but you got to upload it. I'm like, why would you put me on the spot like that? Don't do that to me.
So we have
But
Heather Grace to thank
we
for
have Heather to thank for that. Go,
these
Heather.
wonderful videos.
As I'm giving you the side eye. And she really started it, and that's what took it off. And I honestly did not think that anybody would that it would blow up the way that it did. I didn't think that the creators of ElfQuest would love it the way that they did. And it was kind of like, okay, I guess I just gotta keep going with it. And it just turned into this whole thing. And to this day I still can't believe I did that. Woo!
Well, I'm here to say that I love them, and you know, when you're ready, I can't wait for more because you
Yay!
started a little new series now that Final Quest is over,
Yes.
and we got one episode, but I know that it's tough to like keep creating stuff, and you know, life
Yeah.
gets you down, and life be life, and so
It
you
do be
know.
life. And yeah, I would love to get back into it. The new series was When Eyes Meet, and it was just basically my reaction to the different ElfQuest characters. And I love that I was able to do a part one for one of the characters, Rayek, but I never got the chance to do my part two. And I had sketched out so many other reactions to so many characters, but life be life. And but honestly, after this, I see myself getting back into it. You
Yes.
inspire me,
Yes, we inspire
yay!
each other. That is what this is all about. This is all about how, you know, ElfQuest can be that like that good friend that is just
hmm
always there for you.
Yes,
And I think just the way the characters are written,
yeah.
it speaks to so many people
hmm
in so many different ways, different parts of your life. And you
hmm
know, I started reading ElfQuest when I was 15. You said you started when you were like 7?
Yeah, when I was like 7 in the second grade, that was crazy. I didn't even know. I had never heard of it before, and fellow ElfQuest friend Tori, I know she's in the group somewhere. She actually let me borrow her comic back when I was which I think she was a grade or two under me. I think it was Fire and Flight. And she let me take it home, and I was instantly in love with it. I love the art, I love the story, I love the characters. Amen. And then, of course, what really hooked me was when I saw Lita for the first time. And I was like, oh, she brown skin like me. And that, I think that for me was really what got me into ElfQuest. That was like the main thing. Everything else was great, but you don't see, and I know technically, our ElfQuest characters, they're not black or, native, but it's when you're a young child and you're so used to seeing one type of standard in comics or in animation, and then you see something that looks like you, it it's a very exciting and humbling experience at the same time. And I was like, I have to read more about this. I ended up falling in love with like all of the characters, and it was just very great. So shout out to Tori. Thank you, girl.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Allison, for loaning me your ElfQuest. That's how I came to ElfQuest from my friend Allison in 9th grade. So
Aww.
I think a lot of people have that story where like they saw somebody else with it, and it, it gets passed around. And because just, I think on its face value, like the covers are always just so like captivating, and they just like grab your attention so much. But I wanted to go back to what you said about how it was humbling to see like people like you or characters that like looked like you in the comics. What did you mean by that?
It made me feel seen and represented in my own way. It kind of gave me this sense of there can be people who look like me, who can embark on these great journeys, who can be powerful, who can be wise, who can be intelligent, who can be beautiful, who can just step out into a world and just capture you and captivate you from the beginning. And I wasn't used to that. And it kind of made me feel like, wow, I can do just about anything. If this character can do anything and they look like me, I can do anything too. And for the longest time, whenever people would say, who inspires you? It was always an ElfQuest character. I could never come up with a real person. My dad was sick of me. He's like, if this child mentions this girl Lita one more time or Nightfall one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. But it impacted me in that such of a way where it was like, I couldn't think of anybody else. These were my standards for what could be done. And I know it's fantasy and people say, oh, it's not real. But the way that they write this story, the way that they write these characters, it feels like more than a story. It literally feels like you are a part of it. And I think that is one of the things that makes ElfQuest so pinnacle for all of us fans over all the years. I mean, it's been going on for how long now? And it's still going strong. And I think that is amazing. It just, ooh, girl, don't get me started.
No, that's what we're here for. We are here to literally talk about ElfQuest and start. But yeah, I mean, what I love about it too, when it came out in 1978.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I grew up in a very like in the 70s. So I was like 5 years old when it came out. And I lived in this super like kumbaya kind of neighborhood. Like it was just like this very Wonder Yearsy kind of like integrated, like diverse, just like American neighborhood. And so I didn't feel like isolated or like one of a few or just the only one until we left that neighborhood and moved. And then it was like, oh, you're different, like, and that's when like you had to kind of prove yourself or be like something else, like something better, or you had to always be the best or what have you. So I didn't feel othered that much until we had moved to this more predominantly white neighborhood. And it was like really hard. There was like a lot of bullying and just like, you're so different, your nose is too
Yeah.
big, and like
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So by the time I had gotten to ElfQuest, I had kind of like built up this like tough exterior because I had,
Mm-hmm.
I'd switched schools again for this like high school for ninth grade. And the old school, it was like I had to be friends with all the white kids because there's only like 5 of us,
Yeah.
or but the black kids didn't really like me either because I was
Whew.
too white acting, or talked white or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So by the time I got to this new school, I was like, you know what? I don't need friends. I'm not going to have friends. I'm just going to be like me. I'm just going to keep my head straight. I'm going to do this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, people were like, hey, don't be alone. Have a friend. And like Allison is like one of the people I met, and we became friends really quickly because I had switched schools. I had to repeat like science because I didn't have this certain
Mm.
science class at my old school.
Yeah.
So I had to be with the 8th graders, even though I was in ninth grade for this one science class. And then
Yeah.
like Allison just like, I think, like vibes meet vibes. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not like the other people like that are just, we're kind of different, more sensitive, just like,
Mm-hmm.
in your bad space sometimes. Teenage life is tough. But
Yeah.
I was just hanging out at her house, and she had these books on her, like in this like place of honor on her, I think it was like a dresser with
Mm-hmm.
like the 4 first Star Blaze Dawning books. And I was like, what's that? Like, that looks neat. That's different. And I loved comic books. Like, I always like
Yeah.
animated things. I like comics.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, what's this? I just started reading it. Like, I could not put it down. Like, I couldn't look away. And she
Yeah.
was just so kind to give it to me. And I had a point. But I guess my point was like later on that having the sun folk and having this whole tribe of like brown characters that
Mm-hmm.
are not, they're not weighed down by like the like African American experience,
Mm-hmm.
but just from them existing in this fantasy world
Yeah.
affirms that there are like beings of all different colors and having
Mm-hmm.
different like beliefs and cultures, and they all have the same value, and that they exist and they should be celebrated. And I think
Yes.
that's just the best way that ElfQuest kind of conveys that without like beating anybody over the head with it. Like they were
Yeah.
just like, this is it. This is the way the world is. So
Yeah.
any fantasy world should look like the real world. It
Yes.
shouldn't be like erased, which is
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of other media, it just erases us, like you're just not
Yeah.
there. So it's like you don't exist or you're less than. And this, everyone was on equal footing.
Yeah.
Everyone had the same ability to be good or evil
Mm-hmm.
without any extra like baggage put onto
Yeah.
it, because that's just how human beings are, or
Yeah.
elfin beings,
Yeah.
you know
100%. Ooh, I love it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, good stuff. So back to our fangirling,
Woohoo.
which we can do forever. So you did these great reaction videos, and you said that your reaction videos are part of the ElfQuest collection at Columbia University.
Yes, they are. Papa Elf, Richard, he reached out to me. It threw me for a loop because I don't really think I knew that I was friends with him on Facebook. So it was one of those things where you get a message in Messenger and you're like, who that? And I
Is that
saw this,
real?
yeah. And I'm like, what? And I'm looking and it's him and he's like, hey, we love the reaction videos and we would love to have them be a part of the library. Can you send everything to me? Get a Dropbox. I said, are you sure? Like, are me? And he was adamant. He's like, yeah, we want them in the library. You have to send them to me. And I'm like, well, what about the old things where I didn't have an intro, I didn't have an outro. It was very like choppy, bad camera, fuzzy. He's like, I don't care. I want all of it. And I sent it to him. So it's part of the library now, guys. I am so honored. I'm gonna be crying every time I think about it. Like,
It's amazing.
it's
You could tell your
crazy.
like future generations that like I am forever preserved in a
Forever
rare,
preserved.
yes, in a rare book collection in an Ivy League school. So look what ElfQuest can do.
Yes. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about how, back to the fan group on Facebook. I think it is one of the brightest spots in the internet. There is
Yes.
just when you just see like there's just so much like vitriol some places
Yes.
and people just like saying the nastiest things to each other. This
Yeah.
little group is just so neat. I mean, and
It
at
is.
first I was like, I don't need to join this group. I am on my own. I've been reading it by myself in my apartment,
Mm-hmm.
like, or wherever for years and years. And I'm not sure how I found out about it. I think it was from the podcast
Mm.
because when David, shout out to David,
Hey, David. Hi,
David, we
Circle.
love you.
I love you, baby.
I think he mentioned it because I think I just followed like the official ElfQuest
Page.
page.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was like this second group where like all this cool stuff was happening that I was like
Mm-hmm.
missing. And I was like, do I need to level up again? I'm already listening to this ElfQuest podcast. Like how far am I going to go? And
Right.
I was kind of like a young mom. I had like young kids. And I think that's when I decided like, this is just going to be my fandom. This is going to be my thing because
Mm-hmm.
I've had different eras of my life, like my 20s, like running around New York City and then, getting married, having kids and
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. Like, I was like, I need to keep something that was like me before I became like mommy and wife and whatever.
Right.
And ElfQuest was always here. Like all these books, mostly I just had them because I want to read it. Like I just
Yeah.
wanted to get everything that was put out to have to read to be part of it. So yeah, I was listening to the ElfQuest show and they said, they have this Facebook fan group. And I mean, first it was just like, oh, I just kind of observe. And then I'm like posting my own selfies, got like,
Right.
and I was like, they're gonna get sick of this girl. Like, like, what is she doing? Don't you get enough attention or something? Maybe like I don't. But enough attention, and David asked me to be a guest on the ElfQuest show, so I leveled up my fangirling.
Yeah.
And he asked you to do it too, so we have
Yes,
that in common.
we have that. We have so much in common. Like just listening to everything that you're saying from, first discovering ElfQuest to, kind of readjusting yourself, as you go through life and bullying and all that. Like we have so much in common and I love it. And I think for me, I was very wary, kind of the same way about joining the group. Because a lot of times, especially with the nerdy fandoms, they can be so toxic.
Mm-hmm.
They can be just downright messy. And I'm like, look, I got enough problems in my life. I don't need to deal with nothing else, especially nothing connected to something that I love. But I believe Tori, again, was the one who told me about the group. And I said, okay, well, you know what? I'll give it a shot because I love ElfQuest. Um, and for the longest time, I was just in the background. I didn't comment. I just kind of watched everything that was going on. And as time passes, you just kind of start to see like this place is actually a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
It's really quiet, it's really calm. We're all just acting foolishly together, talking about how much we love, this fan base. And it really kind of grows on you. And then, you start seeing, you start commenting more, people start reacting to your comments more. And honestly, it is. I do believe that the ElfQuest Facebook group is probably one of the purest fandoms pages that we're gonna find. Every now and then you get a little thrown in there, but for the most part, that it is such a safe space, and it's always been the place that I love to go to the most to just kind of decompress and just relax. And I love what they've done with that group. It's just so
It's so
beautiful.
nice.
It is.
I love how Wendy and Richard are like elf mom and elf pop, and we are all the like unruly kids.
We're
Just
literally the crazy babies, yes.
and I love how they come in. Like, I don't know of any other group where you get to interact with the creators of the thing you love, like,
No.
so much, like, at such a personal level. Like,
Yeah.
when Richard friended me on Facebook, I was like, is this real? Like, for real? For real? For real? I mean,
Literally.
why? Like,
makes you question everything you think you know
like,
about your life.
really? It took a
Yeah.
while, but yeah, I'm like, this is the Richard Peeney friending me on Facebook. What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And look where we are now. So
Look at where we are now. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's wonderful. I don't know what the next thing is. So yeah, so the group, it's really fun when there's something new coming out, like for like when you were doing your videos with Final Quest. I think that was when like everything really started like coming together, because there was just like this regular
Yeah.
rhythm to it, with the
Yeah.
issues coming about every other month, and with Dark Horse Comics,
Yeah.
their new publisher. Because like back in the day when they were putting it out, like Father Tree Press, and I had gotten the book, so all the books were out like through Siege at Blue Mountain. So I had like the big books, like 1 through 6, I believe. And then Kings of the Broken Wheel, that was like the first one for me that I was reading like as they came out, like one issue at a time.
Yeah.
And it was when I was in college. So, I had just moved to New York to go to school, to Barnard, which is affiliated with Columbia University, by the way. So I was like, yeah, I got my alma mater's got my books, like my favorite books. So I was there and I was like, oh, I gotta find a comic book store. And like we would just like walk down to 96th Street, I believe there was a comic book store there. And this is pre-internet, so it wasn't like you knew like it was definitely coming out every other month. Like it was supposed to be every other month, and everything else is going on. So we would like walk down there and it wouldn't be there. And I'm like, oh, I gotta get like the next. So they're just like waiting. So it's like I feel like the waiting is part of being an ElfQuest fan. Like that is just embedded in your DNA as a fan, just to be able to wait because something awesome is coming, like, and it's coming. So that was the first one. I think that's why I love King so much. That's like my favorite story in the series. And Final Quest is like a good second, I think, because it's just so well done. And it's so I mean 24 issues.
I wasn't expecting it to be that many issues, honestly.
Me either.
It threw me for a loop.
And the fact that they were holding on to this story for some 20 some years, like, what are you saying to me? Like, how did you? I don't know. They blow me away with.
They do all the time.
The execution is impeccable. I don't know what secret sauce they have, like when they came to, I mean, it's amazing. So like those 2-3 years of it coming out, it was just so much fun in the group.
It was
to have like this community to share with, because I'd never ever done that before. Like I'd never been reading it where you could like share with people like that day. Like people were like, the issue comes out at midnight, folks are in the like spoiler chat, like 12:01, like
12:01, like, did you see page 3? I'm like, I haven't even hit purchase yet. Like
exactly. And here on the East Coast, it's midnight on the West Coast, like, so it's like 3 a.m. if you want to get it digital, and I'd be like, you guys are killing me. Like I have to like shut off my phone, like mute the group. I mean, they got me to buy the digital because I was always like, I love the paper, I love to smell it, I get really weird about the stuff, and I was like, no, I don't need digital, I'm good. And then people were like, oh no, the digital is great. Like you get it right away. You can do the zooming in and zooming out. And I was like, all right, now I'm in for digital. So now I'm getting it digitally. I'm still picking up my like hard
Paper
copy.
copies.
And it was just so much fun. So that was great. And then there was like a little lull, and then we had our audio movie. Did you love the
I
audio
love
movie?
the audio movie so much. As soon as they said that they had Cree Summer, I was like, oh, it's gonna
be fire. I knew it. I knew
it's gonna be amazing.
I'm like, oh, what came to play? Like they're
right.
really
like, this wasn't a game. Y'all
this
got
is not
Cree?
a game. We
Ooh.
are Cree Summers. Like it doesn't matter who else is in it. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like I really did not. I was like, once. I mean, everyone else is great. I thought it was amazing, especially some of the secondary characters. Those actors absolutely killed it with just the nuance. Like they have like one or two lines, and you felt that the entire backstory. I hope that's how new fans feel, because
it was so immersive. I loved how they offered the opportunity for fans to audition for roles.
Yeah.
I thought that was so great. I actually submitted in a few auditions.
You did?
Yes. They were like, hey, someone told, I think it was David. He's like, so you have to like, you have to put something. And at that point, I was terrified. I always wanted to do voice acting. And they were like, well, you do great with the reaction videos. You have to at least try. And I'm like shaking while I'm recording. I'm like trying to do lines. But it was so amazing. It was so much fun. And you don't really see anything like that where they offer the opportunity for the fans to become a part of it. So I just thought that was great. I thought that was amazing that they even did that they even offered that to us to become a part of it. ElfQuest has so many different methods of immersing the fans into the world and putting us in it. Like the what was it, the selfies, the Elfie selfies that we all
the Elfie
did.
selfies.
And then we put into like the issues, and I have one in one of the issues, and I'm like, you guys just really want to make us a part of this, and I love it so much.
I think that's part of their success is, when they first started being an independent comic, it was a lot of like word of mouth and just the fandom keeping it going and sharing it with friends. And I mean, it's a wonderful testament, because there's so much kind of, greed and I mean, over commercialization, even of stuff that we love. Like I love, like you love Star Wars. I like Star Wars. I love Star Trek. I mean, and it's all like, there's great content. It's great stuff, but you can kind of see the like capitalism, like infecting it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that like Wendy and Richard are just so savvy with like navigating it in a way that is still keeping the fans like at the forefront or as a priority to like just like put out good stuff, and good people will come and it will sell and it will do well. And instead of like trying to make it so that it will sell, or like putting something in the story just because it's popular or it might cater to something, like there's just like no pandering, which is what I love so much about it. It's just a good story because it's put out with care, and they put the time in, and they love the fans are hilarious. I did do my howl for the audio movie, but
did you?
I did. So I'm part of that howl because I was one of the Kickstarter backers. So that was one of the perks to like record it. So I, in my closet, like howling like a wolf, and had a great time with that. But like that is just like one more thing that I just love about you, how like you do it scared, like, which is something that I try to do. Putting yourself out there, like I said, you just like inspire me so much, like the way that you just do it. And like that's why we're here with this new podcast. I'm turning over a new leaf to like put myself out there and, you know, share my love. And I know there are other folks out there that are like me that just, you know, love ElfQuest or love geeky things in general. And, you know, the Sci-Fi Sisters, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, because, you know, they love all things sci-fi and fantasy. And it's just such a fun group of people. So I will say that their group is also like very positive. It's just like a loving group of fans out there that just love mostly Star Trek. They're diehard Trekkies. I've always been I've been a Trekkie, but I never knew like every episode by name or anything. So you know, I had the ElfQuest as my like thing where I can get really deep into the minutia, but they're such a cool bunch of people and I love them. And I hope they're watching because we are on their channel. So come on to the world of Two Moons and enjoy. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about fan fiction, because that's another facet of the ElfQuest fandom. And it's something that a lot of people in there talk about, or they're always speculating. Like in the group, there's always these like threads that just go on forever about like these characters shipping, or I want to know more about like this, you know, character that we saw like one time, like in a panel of like a spread with like all the people.
I love those little, they're not random, but like those background characters that they come up with, and we don't know anything about them, but we all love them so much. Oh my gosh. I know for the final quest, it was the go back with the Roman nose.
Oh my god. You came up with a name for her, right?
I called her Serene. I don't know where it came from. Somebody mentioned something, and I was like, Serene is your name. This is my thing. I loved her so much. And it just goes to show how great the storytelling is, because you can have somebody in the background that you may never know about, but you love them as if they're one of the main characters. And it's like, how can you not? Like the woman with the baked bread. I love her so much.
So on my last episode, we did a cosplay episode, and I had Natalie from the Facebook group, and her costume was the bread lady. She killed it. It was so good. And it just reminds me of all the like great things. Like there's all these characters that have like magic and powers. And then they're just like some just regular elven people, elves that
doing elfy things.
I just want to bake bread. I live. People got to eat, and this is a community. And how could you take my bread? I feel that when like Skywise comes and just stabs the bread, because I'm cooking for my kids. I'm doing like, I try to do stuff from scratch. You know, I grew up with like my Nana showing me how to make all these, you know, wonderful things. And she was always just like whipping stuff up, like, and so I've kind of screwed myself, because I make the stuff from scratch to be like, oh, can I do it? Because I like to bake or I like to cook, and like, oh, I want to do it from scratch. And then they expect that every single time. So anything instant is now trash. You can't use that. So yeah, like I feel that for the bread lady, because it's like I'll make something and then it's gone. Like
you're just gonna swoop down off the mountain and you're just gonna take my bread.
Exactly, just to take my bread. Like
who you think you are?
You gotta have yeast, you gotta like measure, you gotta knead it, it's gotta rise. Like you don't just make bread like that day. Like you gotta plan for that stuff.
It's the whole process. It would have been, let me tell you something. If I was the bread lady, I would have set it off in that village. I'm like, you know what? You with the silver hair, catch me outside. Because who do you think you are? Taking my bread, I would have got real African American. But like you were saying, I think that's what makes it, characters like that is what makes fan fiction so great in our community. because we're able to just kind of run with it. We're able to take these little tidbits and just create our own world out of it. And I didn't really do much fan fiction for ElfQuest. I did a little bit, but it was more so for myself as opposed to like anybody. It was my own world building that I like to do. And the crazy thing is, I was going through some of my old artwork journals that I did. I actually was going through it last night, and I found I had sketches of um, two characters that I had created, my own little fan fiction characters who were supposed to be Cutter and Lita's two new children. And they were another set of twins, another girl and a boy.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, look what I found. This is so, like, I literally did this so many years ago. And it was a female Kenroot, and then the male was Black Hawk. And it was just, it threw me for an absolute loop because I was like, wait a minute, I forgot I even did this. And it was very emotional for me because I had so much little fan fiction notes that I had, and then over the years they just, I don't know, I guess they got tossed out, they got trashed. So finding that is literally the only thing that I have left of my own little ElfQuest world. And I'm like, I'm gonna keep this for the rest of my life. I just can't never lose this. But
Yep.
ElfQuest fan fiction can be so amazing. I want, anybody who watches this, if you know of any, if you guys have any out there that's posted, let us know because I want to read it. But just, I love the fan fiction. I love how the fans are able to create and build on the ElfQuest world. It's amazing.
And the fans are so talented. Like people just have their own, special gifts that they use to
Yeah.
celebrate ElfQuest. Have you seen the posts of Dennis with the dolls?
Yes.
Oh my God. I asked him if he would come on here, but he was like, what are you talking about? But I'm going to get him.
Yeah. Come on, Dennis.
Yeah. So they are so expressive. The way that he like crafts the faces and the eyes.
Oh my
Out of
gosh.
control.
Out of control. Literally, ElfQuest has inspired so many artists. It's just, I can't. I feel like so many of the fans are just like, they're doing things with their hands, they're drawing, they're sewing, there's a couple of people who make like jewelry, and it's just, I'm like, you know what? We need to have our own little ElfQuest inspired store or something here,
Oh
guys.
my gosh. There should be an Etsy store of
There should be an Etsy store.
something that's not without getting involved with the, trademarks or copyrights,
Right.
because we are very protective of
We are very protective. We're looking out for
creativity.
you, Papa Elf.
Exactly. I'm scouting, counterfeit all the time on internet. Like,
Oh, so many.
yeah, it's gotten really nuts. Especially, I blame AI because
Yeah.
I hate it. But
Yeah.
my husband loves AI. He's always asking Gemini's like questions and like, what do you like? That's how the Terminator started.
Well, okay. I told my brother is a huge Terminator fan. I love Terminator too. And it's so funny because I say all the time, anytime something with technology goes wonky, I literally always say, Sarah Connor warned us about this. So when my computer was not doing these updates and it just kept flashing at me, I was like, all right, okay, Terminator, you come through this computer if you want to.
Yeah, Skynet, it's there. I mean,
Skynet, yes.
just watch out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't trust it, but at the same time, I'm asking Google what the weather is every day. I've got the speakers in my house,
Yeah.
like
Oh, do
listening.
you?
Oh my God. When my twins, when we first got that, they were asking Google the most ridiculous questions, like constantly. And I was like, we have to stop. We have to stop this. This has to go. We have to get rid of it. I don't like it. Like, let's throw it out. But yeah. But anyway, the fans are great.
Yes.
They make great stuff. People make like their own, like they're people that are into archery and they make their own bows, which
Oh my God.
how cool is that? Like
That is amazing.
you had some of those in your thank you video.
I did. Yeah, when I did for the final issue of Final Quest, I did a kind of a thank you from the fans. And unfortunately, there were so many people who weren't able to get things in by the deadline, but we had people from other countries, sending things in and giving their permission for me to use their cosplay photos. And it was really great, but it was so much. And I'm just looking and I'm like, you guys are amazing. I have to put this in this thank you video. I have to put this in here some kind of way because it's awe inspiring. And one of the things that I was working on, my cat is doing all kinds of shenanigans in my house. One of the things that we were working on years ago, me, myself, and then Kit, and then Mandy came in later, but we were working on a ElfQuest convention. We were planning an ElfQuest convention for literally years, and it seemed like everything we tried to do just did not mesh, and it drives me insane, so we kind of had to drop it. I'm hoping though, guys, that we can still get this convention off the ground, but
That would be cool.
that'd be so great. But one of the things that I would love, if it's okay with Mom and Pop Elf, is if as we do this convention, if people are able to sell some of these things at the convention that they have, the little jewelry, like you said, without it, kind of getting into that gray area.
Right.
But
Respectfully.
respectfully,
I think
don't
I
come
mean
up with a whole bunch of, stuff that look exactly, even if it's just like jewelry or ElfQuest inspired, don't bring like an actual Red Lance doll and try to sell it, but just something for the fans who have been inspired by ElfQuest to become creative. There was someone in the group who she said she loved looking at the background characters for like the Sun Folk, the way their huts were, and she actually got into clay, and she kind of used that to design her own pottery
oh wow.
that she was selling. I don't know what happened to her. I'm going to have to find her. But she had like these beautiful like pottery, vases and bowls. And you could see the inspiration. You can see that curvature that was like totally Sunfolk. Stuff like that, I think, is
Yeah.
just really great, So we'll see.
Absolutely. Never
See.
know.
You never know. Yeah.
You never know. So hopefully we have piqued people's interests in ElfQuest, in reading it. Final Quest is still out there. It's still available. It's amazing.
Yes.
You can get that from Dark Horse Comics. It's wherever they have it in a collected volume now. So it's
Yeah.
volume 7 of the complete ElfQuest. It's in black and white, which there's some controversy. Some people prefer color. Some people prefer black and white. Which do you prefer?
Honestly, I love the simplicity of the black and white, but color just does something for me. Color feels more immersive for me when I'm reading ElfQuest. It's the way that it pops, the vibrancy of it. It just makes it feel more. It's easier for me to just kind of delve into it for me, for the color. Now I'll read the black and white, no problem, but that color just hits different. It does something different for me.
I think Sunny Straight did such an amazing job with the color for Final Quest.
Great. Yes.
The layers of color, and like they just set a mood for the action that's happening. It was flawless. I think that when they were working together for that, they said themselves that they thought that was some of the best work they've ever done. And I can totally agree. So, when you can get it also digitally in color. You can get it in print in complete ElfQuest Volume 7. I think there were 4 collected smaller books,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and 4 Final
Yes.
Quest
Mm-hmm.
that are also in color, but those are harder to find now, I've heard. Are you in the ElfQuest collectors group?
I am.
Okay.
I am. Yes.
Because those people will get you to spend all your money.
Okay.
Some of this, like I was not, I mean, like I said, I was just buying it to read.
Mm-hmm.
But then you join that group, which is a separate group in Facebook, and you're like, oh, well, you didn't know that came in hardcover? You didn't know that? You didn't know there were glasses? There were drinking glasses that came out for this one promo in like 1980, whatever. Like,
my wallet would be destroyed.
No, I didn't. And now I want that. And I wasn't, and I struggle. Like, I struggle with like consumerism and like buying like everything I see that I like every shiny thing. And I'm like, I don't need any more of that. Like, I have enough. I have all this. It's beautiful. And I don't, but look, the freaking coins.
I love it.
I had to, I asked my brother to get it for me for my birthday because I was like, I can't buy it. My husband will kill me, but I can ask for it for a gift,
right?
Somebody else, and
you did that, yeah.
I did. I had to get Rayek and the Sava one. I had to get like that. I just had to. I mean, eventually I'll probably get the rest, but I can be like happy just having just those two. It's good.
Yeah.
That way, if there's this ElfQuest coin challenge game that's happening at conventions, if they come here, hopefully they will to Baltimore, because Awesome Con in DC that already happened. So I don't think they want to go. I don't think they want to do these big conventions
the really big
anymore.
Ones. No.
They're very overwhelming. Like I would say, hopefully they'll come out to like where you live and like there's like a nice, fun, smaller convention and you can meet them, because they are so fun to meet in person. They're so gracious.
Yeah. Because the big ones are just, oh my gosh, just the thought of going to one of the huge cons just makes me tired. Just thinking about it. I can't imagine how exhausting it is for them. Just they're working it like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to take on. So I want them to be happy and comfortable. And they seem to be having a good time with these like smaller, more intimate conventions. So hopefully there'll be one that's like near where we live that we can like go see them in person. But at in the collectors group, they were saying that those 4 volumes of Final Quest are really hard to get. Like people are paying quite the pretty penny on eBay and wherever, but so you can get them there if you want. Check it out, but you can read it on Dark Horse has a digital version. They just shut down their Android app, which I'm a little sad about.
That's rude.
Because that's where I had all my stuff, like all my backups, because of course I have it in print as well. But it's so easy to like go, and look it up in your on your tablet or on your laptop. Yeah. So it's just that they're not supporting it any longer, the app. I don't know what it is for Apple products, but you can still go to darkhorse.com or darkhorse.digital.com and your collection will still be there. So it doesn't go away. You put out that coin, so it's yours forever.
Amen.
Give them serious coin. But they have good sales too, so you can get like some of those bigger volumes like in the digital format. And then your books stay nice and pristine and you can just flip through it.
Just flip through it.
But when some topic comes up in the Facebook group, I go like, oh, I gotta check it out, and I'll like run up here. This is my life. Like, this is for real. Like, I'll just be, I have work to do. I have a real job too. So I will be like working, but then I'll like, just, see what's going on. And then something fun, like some fun topic will come up or someone will have a question. And I'm running up here, like I always like want to like flip through it, and the next thing I know, I've got like all the books out.
You're just searching through all
I'm
of
like,
them.
oh, that was such a good one. That was so good.
I feel like I used to drive David crazy because I used to text him like, "Hey, David, what page of which issue did this happen?" And he's like, "Give me a minute." And he would always find it because I could never find it because I don't have any of my physical books anymore.
Oh,
And I would go to the, ElfQuest website and I could read everything online digitally there. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't have the patience to search through all of these, click all these links. I'm like, "Hey David, sweetie, I love you so much. What was that page? Which issue was that?" He's like, "Okay, I'll tell you. Give me a second." So I think that's one of the things that I would love to do is to get my ElfQuest collection back up and running because geez, but I love the availability of it digitally, and of
mm-hmm.
course, all of the issues before Final Quest are available on the ElfQuest website for free,
For
you
free.
guys. So you can always read and catch up and then, invest in the Final Quest. You will not be disappointed. But I love ElfQuest so much. Oh my
So good.
gosh.
Yeah. So Richard said on one of the threads that they're putting out on with Dark Horse a volume 8 that's going to be Jink and the Rebels and all the future quest people.
Oh, I love
So
that.
supposedly that's in the works to, be coming out. And that's
Yeah.
cool because it is on the website, but it is really hard to find those in hard copy. I mean,
Oh, almost impossible.
yeah, I got the collections, the reader collections were kind of like the precursor to these Dark Horse volumes where they were like all of the issues in black and white, put in bound, paperback books. Because I really like the books. I think starting off with
Yeah.
the Starbugs books, like you did with those, you the issues sometimes can get like really hard, like, or if
Yeah.
you're not on it, you miss
Yeah.
one issue and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh geez, now I gotta hunt around.
Yeah.
So the books are great, the collections are great, but those have been out of print for quite some time. And there is another comic book store that is near where I live, and their thing is like back issues,
Mhm.
but it is so hard for me personally to
Yeah.
just be like flipping through because it's not in any kind of order. Like they have this one room that's just like I forget what they call it. They have a special name for it. It's like a shed and it's just long boxes everywhere of
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
everything. Like they just, if anyone is just selling their collections, they'll just like pick it up. And I gave them a good hour, like
Mhm.
flipping through. It's not in alphabetical order. I mean, they might have
Oh,
stuff like grouped together if that's how they
yeah.
bought it, maybe. And like the previous owner had their stuff organized. So like
Mhm.
some stuff is bagged, some's not bagged. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm too bougie.
Yeah.
I love old stuff, but I can't, I get the allergies. It's like, plus I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's sad when you don't take care of your stuff. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
put it like get your bags. It's not, they're very cheap now. You can get like 100 bags and boards like for,
Yeah.
take care of it because you love it.
Yeah.
It's meaningful.
Yeah.
So there's that. So there's that coming up. And hopefully this animated series. Oh my gosh. What? When I read that, I was like, get
Yeah, that made me so excited. I literally started screaming. Like I just got a random notification on my phone from Facebook. It was like, "Hey, there's a new post in the Facebook group for ElfQuest." So I'm like, "Okay, let me go be nosy." And I saw that, and when I tell you I lost my ever loving mind, I probably gave my poor cat a heart attack because he's like, he's like, "Mother, what's wrong?"
like, what's
And
happening?
what's wrong? Why are you screaming? Who am I fighting? And I just got so excited. And I can't wait. Oh my gosh. I feel like us fans, we've been wanting this for so long. We've been asking for it for so long. And I had just kind of reached a point where I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'm good with what we have. You know, we're good. We've got the comics, we've got Final Quest, we've got the audio movie. We don't need anything else. This is perfect. And then he went and made that announcement. And I was like, oh my God, my whole life. This is all I've been wanting. This is all I've been wanting. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yeah. I think it's I am very optimistic. I think that it's going to be what we are all waiting for in terms of having the right tone and being more mature, and not too cartoony. Like, it's going to be animated, but it's going to have that like richness and that level. So I'm very optimistic about it. That Into the Spider-Verse, that just like blew my mind. I don't know,
my Lord,
how many Spider-Mans have we? I mean, there's been a ton of Spider-Mans, but that one was so worth it. I took like the little guys there. I mean, I just love the way that they had like the character design. I was like, that is the blackest thing I have ever seen. With the family, the dad with the glasses, and the mustache, and like how everybody's hair was. I was like,
hair. You could see the texture in the hair.
It was so New York, like
New York
Jordans, like everything. It was just perfect. It was so perfect.
Did their research. They knew what they was doing.
Yeah, and I love that. So I'm just really excited to see what they come up with for this for this series, because I don't know if you're watching X-Men 97.
Oh my God, yes.
But I mean, you talk about like having like a mature, like, for the adult audience, because they are writing it for us, that like we saw the cartoon, now older people who loved that cartoon back in the 90s. And oh my God, I was literally like blown away. That episode 5, I thought I was like, I was choked up, and I don't get choked up unless it's StoryCorps on NPR, which makes me cry like literal tears at 6:15 in the morning. It's not cute. Fridays, StoryCorps, as soon as that music comes on,
that's it.
And I used to work at NPR, so I was like, man, you are killing me with this. But anyway, yeah, I was that episode 5. I was like, no way. Like, so I know that they can do it. I know that there are creators out there that can bring the right level of like seriousness and excitement and fun for adults in an animated series. I love the Dragon Prince. That's also pretty good. That
was good. That was really good.
Yeah, a lot of people were mentioning it in the group, the Facebook group, because they had all these elves and the whole sun elves. I think they stole that.
I mean, that is
a little bit.
I had questions and concerns. I did, but
they looked gorgeous. I mean, it just looked so good. So there's good stuff out there. Don't worry, fans. I don't think anything bad is going to happen with this. I'm going to put it out there.
Mom and Pop Elf would not. This is their baby, and I have true faith that they're going to make sure that whatever is done, it's going to be done right. If they approve it, it's going to be exactly what we need and what we want. I have 100% faith in that.
So yeah, it's gonna, we're just gonna have to keep the conversation going about ElfQuest, so that when that pilot hits,
I can't wait to fangirl over all of the attractive characters, because you know me, I
give me some abs,
give me some hair. Anytime
dirty looks. I love the dirty looks. That is one of my favorite things. Like,
anytime somebody posts a picture of one of the characters It's so funny because I haven't been active in the group as much the last couple of years. Which I didn't really think people noticed it, but people would message me all the time, like, girl, where are you at? And I'm like, oh, y'all miss me? I'm so sorry. But Dominic,
I'm sorry, just miss me.
miss me, you know. Dominic would always tag me and he's like, Shekinah, and you girl, you better come in here and bring these shenanigans. And it's so funny because I'm always like, I have been summoned.
I love when you do that.
Like I feel, and it was so funny because when David asked me to come on to hit the ElfQuest podcast show, he's like, so you're perfect for this issue that we're doing because there's a lot of fangirling material that is in here. And I already know that you were reading this and you were like rolling around in your bed, you were screaming, why he's so sexy? Like, just, like, I know you're perfect. Gold Ruff and Drayon, Lord have mercy.
Oh, Mama, by the way, I bite. I bite.
What? I lost. I'm like, you biting? Oh, bite me.
Yes, people should also pick up Stargazer's Hunt. It is out now, and there's like a new hardcover.
Oh, there's a new hardcover.
It is gorgeous. It came out, I don't know, a few months ago. Oh, don't ask me about dates, but it is beautiful.
Oh my God.
It smells good. I love the way the books smell. It's got great little behind the scenes, some great essays in it. Folks should pick it up. It's the entire thing in one.
It's all of it.
One issue. It's all of it because, you know, I've been so behind. The you know, pandemic hit and it stopped production of the individual issues after issue 4. And then they put it out the second. They had also collected volumes 1 and 2 in color in paperback. And so that's when we got to see the conclusion of the story, which I almost lost my mind because I was at Awesome Con in DC. And there was another delay with that volume 2. And they were like, it's going to be here. It's not going to be here. It's coming out this day. No, it's not that day. And I was online, like I was just going to pick up my badge that day and then like jet. But I was there. I'm like, oh, well, I have some time to kill. My husband had another meeting down in DC. So I was just like, oh, let's kill time. I got my badge. And David, I think, posted that they got 1 box of volume 2 to sell at their table. And I literally almost lost my mind standing on the line. I was like, what? Oh my God. Like I'm looking around like I have to be I think I was like the second person there to their table. I was just like, I read it right there in the convention center. Like I had to read this right now. So and then like I think you did you do 4 or what you like the end?
I did. I finished. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I finished. And let me tell you, yeah. What?
I need a moment. It was so good.
It was so good. It honestly, the story, I don't think that they have ever made a story that just did not hit. Right. I don't think each story, each part of the saga, all of it, all hits you in some kind of way. And Final Quest tore me up when that thing happened.
Yes.
You know that thing I'm talking about. I would say it, but you know, some people are like,
some people don't know, or they're just finding out now, and we are here for you.
We are here for you because, baby, when that thing happened, I was a wreck. I did not think that I would be that hit. But I literally was like, it was like a total Lifetime movie channel moment. I was laying across, I was like sprawled across the bed. I was holding on to my favorite plushie. I was like, oh God, why? Why, Lord? I was having a whole mental breakdown. My brother came in to check on me. He's like, baby, are you good? I'm like, he's like, all right, girl, just go drink some wine. You'll be fine.
Have some dreamberry wine,
Have some dreamberry wine.
some
And
dreamberries, and it'll be
it
good.
hit me in such a way, and that's how you know it's such great storytelling, because I don't think I have ever read a comic or anything like that has impacted me emotionally the way that ElfQuest has. The characters have impacted me emotionally. I say all the time, there has been no character ever written by any human being on the face of this earth who has put me through an emotional roller coaster ride the way that Rick has. I am so sick of that boy. I love him, but I hate him, but I love him. No, but
You love
only
to hate
they.
him. I
You love
love.
to hate him. Like, but only they could have portrayed him in that kind of way, where I like him, but then I despise him. Oh, I despise him so much. And then he does something that is just like, oh, dude, does this mean I like you now? And when him and Cutter came to blows, and girl,
Such a good issue.
that issue
I
was
love that one. So
powerful.
good.
But by the time I closed the back page of that, I was like, all right, I love this fool now. I don't know why. I like him. I hate to say I love you, but the character growth for him, the character growth for all the characters that they have is just phenomenal. And I really want, if there are people out here who are listening to this podcast who have never read ElfQuest, you have to read it.
You have to
You
read it.
have to. The story draws you in. The characters, they impact you emotionally, mentally. It is not just a story. It's almost like its own little world, its own little way of life that you are a part of. You know, every time I pick it up, I'm like, okay, well, here I am. I'm journeying into the world of Two Moons. It is so immersive and life changing. The more that you read it, the more that you go along with what is happening on these pages, it is just mind blowing. So, Final Quest wrecked me in a good way, and Stargazer's Hunt wrecked
It was
me.
like that healing, though. It was
It was that
very
healing. It was very, it
restorative.
gave restorative. That's a good word for it. I was tore up from the flow up, but it was perfect. It was perfect. It was exactly what I feel like we needed.
Yeah, it was there.
It was
It was
there.
so good.
It was so good.
And they said there might be some new stuff coming with your favorite, the one we love to hate, Rayak and Winnowill's resolution is hopefully.
Hopefully,
I
I'm.
I am I am so here for that
I
because
am.
I I don't have like one favorite character. I know you can't have one favorite, but
Mm,
I love Winnowill just
so
like as a step back, like as a character to exist
mhm,
in fiction.
mhm.
That is the most complex,
Oh my God.
evil, dark character
Mhm,
woman that you are
mhm,
ever going to see. There is nothing, there is no character like Winnowill. I
mhm.
love that she exists in the
Yes.
world as a character because she has all this strength and
Mhm,
power and
mhm.
vulnerability.
Mm.
And I mean, she's so complicated
Woo.
and they explore so many different facets of her character. So to
Yes.
see that resolution, especially the way Final Quest ended with Rayak,
Yeah.
just like poor guy. I had to feel for him.
Oh,
Like
Tank Tank.
she was like, yeah, too bad you'll never be free of me. Like I'm gonna like I got you forever. Like
That hit. I was like,
I was
whoa.
like, damn, like she is so petty. You just love
She is. Oh, she messy, and I
she's
love
like,
it.
I choose violence. Like she's like, I'm never gonna let you go.
Love a good
He
villain.
couldn't let her go either. He's still flawed. Like he's
Yeah,
had this growth, but
he still got his problems.
he has some issues still, poor
He
guy.
has some issues.
So
Poor baby.
yeah, so there was, some teasing about that, some Wendy and Richard grins about
Those grins, man.
Rayak Winnowill conclusion. I was like, no, you didn't just put that out there. I don't know. Are you getting the newsletters?
Yes.
Should put a little plug for the newsletters you can get in your inbox.
In your inbox, it comes straight to you, baby.
From Richard, and David does a wonderful job. David Misajewski does a great job with the like behind the panel kind of behind the scenes or deeper insights. And this is new stuff. And I mean, you and I, we have been in this fandom for quite some time. Yeah. I try to consume every article and interview and some stuff okay, yeah, I knew that was good, yeah, okay, but this is like new stuff, and it's really cool because Wendy is sharing like what was going on in her mind when she was creating it. And I also love like how she's kind of looking back at it, like she just said something kind of, it was like, it seemed like it was sort of in passing, like this was what my 20-year-old brain thought, like when I drew this, it was like the first page of issue 1 with the what's the guy's name, like the human guy? Yeah, the human
the shaman,
yeah, and he's just like like whatever. And it just made me stop for a second, like, okay, this is someone who's now like looking back 46 years in the past, like this is what my 20-year-old brain thought of how to like represent this, and then to be able to have that stance of creation, to say this is how I like resolve it all these years later. I mean, how lucky to be able to do that.
How we get to get a glimpse into their minds. Remember when they released Line of Beauty and the Art of ElfQuest?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I still don't have Art of ElfQuest, but when I got Line of Beauty, I tore that sucker up. I did a reaction video for Line of Beauty for when I got it. But I just love you get the art, but you get the story. You get all the background information, and it makes everything so much clearer. I mean, we're never going to be able to understand the way that their minds are working because their minds have been tinkering on this thing for so long. They're still throwing us for loops. We still don't expect anything, but getting that connectivity with them, and it helps us to get a certain connectivity to the story that is deeper than just, oh, this is just something I just like to read,
and then you go back and then you reread stuff,
and you reread
and you get a new interpretation because you're seeing it with like your however old you are, your new eyes. So it's great on a reread. Everything you always like pick out some new nugget, and I love that. I love that about it. I read it to my twins when they were 5.
Did you?
I was, because like they started kindergarten, and you're supposed to, they have these like reading charts, and you had to read 10 minutes every day, or
wow,
and fill in these things. And I was like, I was getting tired of reading like the same old books over and over again. You're like, you know what, we're reading ElfQuest now, we're going, that's if I gotta read out loud, because they didn't want to sit and read by themselves, like you can't trust that, not at 5. So yeah, so I just started reading it. We went all the way up through like Hidden Years.
Oh, and then wow.
Then they broke off into like fart jokes like Captain Underpants.
I loved Captain Underpants. It was man, it's like a fever dream. I was like, they still doing Captain Underpants?
It's still coming out. Like they will still bring home books. Well, not anymore. Now there's no books, but
yeah,
now it's all like YouTube shorts and Fortnite with them. There are no books. Like my husband makes them read like one book a summer because, you know, you got to do something. But yeah, I was like, we have more ElfQuest to read, but they're, you know.
They're like, yeah, no, not quite yet.
But I had them totally indoctrinated for a minute. Like,
I love when I see fans passing on the torch for ElfQuest to their children or to their grandchildren. You know, I see people posting videos or pictures of them going to the cons, and they have their, you know, their child or their granddaughter or their grandson, you know, they're cosplaying as like Suntop or Ember, you know, or New Star. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is so beautiful. Like, and that the kids are loving it. And I think that's so great because there are some people who will say, oh, you know, it's not really, you know, for kids. But I don't necessarily agree with that 100% because I was in the daggone second grade when I started ElfQuest. And I've been shook ever since, you know. So I don't now, you know, yes, there are some more adult type themes, which is why, you know, if you're going to introduce it to your children, you know what you're introducing, you know, well, okay, this can wait or this can go now, but hey, start them with it. I really feel like it has made a lot of us into the people that we are. And I say it all the time, but I do say it, how I have such a connection with ElfQuest because I say ElfQuest literally saved my life. And people are like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I started reading ElfQuest and I was being bullied and I was going through a lot. And I was going through a lot of depression and I was in my suicidal, you know, time. And I tried it a few times. I was like, all right, well, this ain't working. So let me just, but it never worked. But when I rediscovered ElfQuest, because there was a time where I couldn't find anywhere and time had passed and I stumbled upon it, the website, and that they had it online. And that is really what I feel like helped me to navigate because I would come home and it was straight to ElfQuest. Before I go to bed, straight to ElfQuest. First thing in the morning before school, straight to ElfQuest. And that set an expectation for me to, instead of focusing on, you know, not want to be here anymore, I had something to look forward to because I was able to catch up on hundreds of issues that I did not even knew existed. And it was something that I looked forward to. And I say it all the time. And I thank Mom and Pop Elf. I'm like, you guys don't even realize that I rediscovered ElfQuest at the most critical time of my life because I was trying to get out of here. I wasn't just talking about it. I was actively trying. And having that there was just a game changer. So I'm like, hey, let the kid read it. You never know how that may help them. You don't know what your child is going through, your grandchild. You don't know what you're going through. It doesn't have to be just your child. It can be an adult friend, you know, somebody else who's nerdy. Like, hey, I know you like Star Trek. You know, I know you like Doctor Who. Take this.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, I will say that, I mean, my mother, she did actually, that is how she died. So, and I was 16. So I had just started reading ElfQuest because I had gotten it from my friend like the year before. And I think that is why it's so special in my life because it was just something I always had to, you know, on those like moments when you're alone. And, you know, I was depressed from like grief. Because I had like been like the survivor, it wasn't something I'd ever considered, but I definitely had those dark moments, you know, going through it, like the end of your adolescence, going into your 20s, where you're like, gotta be like a real person and have a job and pay your rent and do all those things to like just get, you know, to have that one thing that just like does keep you going, like it's coming out. I think I rediscovered it around that same time after college. You know, I got through college and it kind of dropped off a little bit, but then it was there like when I was, dealing with, just like real life stuff. And the story evolved with me, I think, where, you got those more serious themes that were happening and that the complexity just kept going. So I think you're right. Like whatever can be there, that balm for you, like being a fan, like putting yourself out there when you're, kind of depressed, but like you have these groups, these ways to kind of stay connected.
Yeah.
And make new connections, even if you're making a connection with a fictional character. I mean, these are great characters to explore and emulate. I mean, I think that like that theme that they keep repeating through ElfQuest, just like be the kindest that you can, like to everybody. It's I know it's hard. People are hard. Family can be hard. And just finding those ways to try to be as kind as you can, just do the best you can, I think is, not a bad mantra. It's not a bad way to go through life, especially nowadays.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about it. It's easy to find yourself, little bits of yourself in so many different characters for ElfQuest. Even the tribes, you find so much. You can find some of yourself in the gliders, in the sun folk, in the go backs, and the Wolfriders, in the wave dancers. It's so relative in its own way. And I think that's one of the things that I love so much about ElfQuest is I literally would find little bits and pieces of myself all throughout the series. I'm like, wow, I'm going through something similar to what this character is going through. Wow, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling the same type of anger, or I'm feeling the same type of loneliness, or I'm feeling the same type of fear. And I'm seeing how all of this is shaping, and they're able to get through it. So if they can get through it, maybe I can get through it. Maybe I can take a little bit from this character and implement this into my life, or take some of that and implement it into my life. It's more than just entertainment. And that is what I feel really makes it so powerful and so well loved in our community.
Yep. Thank you for ElfQuest. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad that it was that thing that helped you want to stay, because I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank
you. I'm just so glad that we met through the group, and now that we're here, and I hope you will come back again.
Oh, definitely. Just tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
Awesome. So thank you for joining me. We could talk about ElfQuest all day, all night. Stay tuned for part 2. We will talk more about new things coming up in ElfQuest. So this has been 2 Moons and a Microphone, a podcast from Sci-Fi Sisters Inc., Shade, and Sweetwater.